On day 3, we will leave Maple Ridge and drive through downtown Vancouver. Then we'll go to Stanley Park, where we will see the aquarium and ride a horse-drawn carriage before coming back and looking at Chinatown and Gastown, and then we will drive back to Maple Ridge. For the next few days, we'll be looking around Vancouver. It's conveniently located to see many of the sights here, and it is one of the larger cities in Canada. It's now time to head out from Maple Ridge, cross the bridge over the river, and head into Vancouver. Soon, we'll be in very heavy traffic. As we head through downtown, we notice the many skyscrapers, and then it's time to take our exit to Stanley Park. Stanley Park is one of the largest urban parks in the nation, covering over 1,000 acres of green right outside downtown. Here we'll be seeing the aquarium, go down to the horse-drawn carriage, and look around this area. First, we'll be visiting the aquarium. As you see here, some of the problems with plastic. It looks like jellyfish, and different animals eat it and get it in their stomach and can't get rid of it.
Start our Stellar Sea Lion training session with Amat and Kenai. I'm sure many of you have met and
Stellar sea lions are the largest sea lions in the ocean. These are 6 years old and about half grown. They'll be up to 1,500 pounds when they grow. The difference between a sea lion and a seal is the sea lion has rear-facing fins so he can walk on land and an external ear flap. Seals have neither of these. Now it's time to leave the aquarium and walk down to the Stanley Park horse-drawn carriages and take a ride around the park. The carriages have changed a lot since 1888 and they're more modern now and look more like trolleys. Deborah the Explorer is all loaded up and ready to head out for her exploration. And Doc and Dan will be taking her along this trip.
Boys? It's a good boy. So good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to Stanley Park and AAA Horse and Carriage Tours. My name's Edna. I will be your guide for the next hour. Our good boys in front are also Percheron draft horses. The Percheron draft originated in France. These two boys were born right here in the lower main called Coal Harbor, and it was named for a few low-grade coal deposits that were found along its shores back in 1859 by a Captain George Richards. It was low-grade coal. It never did amount to anything. Across the harbor, you can see the skyline of Vancouver, and that is Vancouver's West End. The West End is just simply the name of that community, and it is one of the most densely populated residential square miles in North America today. The population in that square mile is over 48,000. So you can imagine what it's like to try to find parking there. It's always difficult. The path below us is the seawall promenade extending around the perimeter of Stanley Park, 1.5 miles or about 9 kilometers. It is level like this all the way. It makes great walking and jogging. You maybe noticed it's divided. That is so pedestrians have one side, bicycles and rollerblades the other. The wheeled vehicles down there have one-way traffic heading the same direction that we are. And there is a speed limit on the seawall of 15 kilometers an hour. That's about 10 miles an hour. We really haven't seen too many people, pedestrians, breaking that one. But a few years ago, there were some inline skaters that insisted, they were asked many times by the skate patrol to please slow down. They wouldn't listen, so eventually they found themselves caught in a radar trap. They had to pay $75 fines each. They were not impressed, but they were caught, so they had to pay it. All the floating boat sheds here on your right belong to the Royal Vancouver Yacht Club. This club has won some prestigious races, like the Swift Shore and Victoria to Maui. Now, of course, from here to Hawaii is a very long race. On average, it will take 10 to 18 days to run. The record time is 9 days, 2 hours. Must have had a great tailwind that time. And in the tall trees were elegantly carved cedarwood boxes which contained the remains of the native dead. A chief or some other important member of the tribe would usually have their box hung quite high up, and less important members would be entombed in cedar lean-tos or boxes right down at the base of the trees. The island today is a Canadian naval base called the HMCS Discovery. The letters stand for Her Majesty's Canadian Ship, and Discovery was the name of one of Captain Vancouver's 2 ships. And coming up ahead of us, right on the right-hand edge of the sidewalk, is their sign. If you look to the left of the word Discovery, you'll see their emblem, the gold disc over the letter Y. Think about it. That is exactly how you spell that word, disc over Y. Somebody must have had a lot of fun figuring that one out. Else they have. Coming up in front of us on the right, there's a floating fuel station, the Chevron. There's a tugboat in there filling up right now, and maybe some other little boats. Behind that, there's a large building with a sail-like roof. It is Canada Place, a trade and convention center, and the cruise ship terminal. All summer long, the cruise ships come through here, making their way to Alaska. In front of us on the left are the totem poles. The word totem, to the natives, means mark of my family or clan. Totems were put up not just to be decorative, but usually they tell a story, perhaps a native go. You might have found one that would look like that one on the back row with those big blue eyes. In the box-like structure at the top, you would have found the remains of their dead chief. Now that type of pole is called a mortuary pole. This one was carved by the Canadian artist Bill Reed. Is the Burrard Inlet. It is the deepwater arm of the Pacific Ocean. At the deepest, it is 390 feet. It runs inland over 20 miles in length. Captain George Vancouver named the inlet for his friend Sir Harold Burrard. That is a replica of a figurehead off of the SS Empress of Japan. A sailing vessel sailed from here to Asia in the late 1800s. And when they retired the ship, they retired the figurehead right there. The original was made out of wood, and it was deteriorating with the weather, so they have placed it now in a Vancouver Maritime Museum. Across the water, you have the Lions Gate Bridge. Underneath it, West Vancouver. The Lions Gate was named for the highest mountain peaks in the region, which unfortunately never can be seen from this location, even if it was really clear right now. They are behind that mountain at the foot of the bridge and then up the Capilano Valley. They are 5,400 and 5,600 feet above sea level, and they are called the Lions. The original construction started on that bridge in 1937. Canada was in the Depression years, Vancouver in an economic slump. It was an Irish brewery family, the Guinnesses, that helped to finance the bridge. They, of course, owned breweries back in Britain, and they owned a parcel of land over here on the far shore. So they were looking for a faster and a better access to this south side to help them develop their land. They were pushing to get the bridge put through, but meeting much opposition from the park board. They didn't want to see a busy highway put through the middle of their very gorgeous park. But as you can see, with the offer of financial assistance, the bridge went through. The yellow apparatus is the kids' dryer. The children walk through there, it blows warm air on them, warming them up and drying them off. So it's just about like an automatic car wash. That big tree is the western red cedar. That's the type of wood the natives like to use to carve their totem poles out of. It's a soft wood, it carves easily, and it will last a long time. They say some poles carved from that type of wood have been known to stand for over 100 years. They use that tree for everything from dugout canoes to bentwood boxes, cooking utensils, and even their long houses. The stringy outer bark, the women would weave baskets and rugs from that and even make a rain cloak and hat. They said it shed the water really well, and of course here in the rainforest, good thing to have. The soft inner bark they would make different items of clothing from, especially baby diapers. So had to be one of the first biodegradable disposable diapers ever made. On your look way up the hill on the left, way back up there, you will see a statue of a man with his arms outstretched. That's Lord Stanley, as he was dedicating the park. But as you already know, the park was dedicated on the north end, and they just simply put his statue up here at the entrance to the park. Coming up on the right is a heritage building built in 1911. It belongs to the Vancouver Rowing Club, and its members. Now on the Vancouver's very first monument. It was presented by the Vancouver School children in 1905 to commemorate Queen Victoria the Good after her death in 1901.
And now it's time to head out of Stanley Park with all of our geese in a row. As we leave Stanley Park, we'll go through all the apartment buildings, and you'll notice that they love their green. They put trees on their roofs and have as many gardens as they possibly can outside their windows. Soon we're entering Chinatown for a look around. There seems to be a large homeless population here also. After we passed the cars on top of the tree, we passed the statue of Gassy Jack. Gassy Jack was the founder of Vancouver. He offered the lumberjacks all the whiskey they could drink if they'd build him a tavern. They did, and he did, and he must have eaten a lot of beans because he had a lot of gas, they say. And this is the steam clock that they used to tell time. As we drive through Gastown, you'll see it's mainly upscale stores and restaurants in this area, and a lot of activity in the evenings. They have a light rail system that moves people around, and this is part of it. It's elevated, so it doesn't take up much road space. And then it's time to head out of town. We cross the river on the bridge again, and we're back in Maple Ridge for the night. And this brings us to the end of day 3.
Day. I know you had a great time in the aquarium seeing all that God has created. Then I am sure Deborah liked petting the horses as much as riding in the carriage to see all that man has made in this year. I am sure you had a great look in Chinatown, and I hope Jack was not too gassy when you saw him. Have a good ride back to Maple Ridge and a good night's sleep.